Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, starring Ian McKellen, Martin Freeman, Richard Armitage, Benedict Cumberbatch, Evangeline Lilly, Lee Pace, Luke Evans, Stephen Fry, Ken Stott, James Nesbitt, and Orlando Bloom, and directed by Peter Jackson. Now, I remember seeing this back in the day when it came out in theaters in Christmas of 2014, or actually, take that back, 2013, that's when it was. And did I like it then? Maybe. Did I like it now? Let's get into it. We open the movie in Bree, where Frodo and the hobbits meet Aragorn in the Fellowship of the Ring, and Thorin, returned by Richard Armitage, is eating dinner and some hunters almost kill him until Gandalf, returned by Ian McKellen, joins Thorin and talks with Gandalf about a way Thorin and the dwarves can take back their homeland of Erebor from Smaug. And Peter Jackson goes back to how he made Lord of the Rings only in this scene, but still, Peter Jackson, knock it off. You're making The Hobbit at this point. Bilbo, returned by Martin Freeman, finds Azog is still on their tail, and they go to a house of a half-man, half-bear named Bjorn, who's neither friend or foe, because in dialogue, he says he doesn't like dwarves, but orcs he hates even more than dwarves. And what I don't like about the Bjorn scenes is how long and slowly paced it is. Meanwhile, Azog is sent for war reasons by the necromancer, voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, and gives another orc named Bolg the task of taking Thorin's head off. And this character of Azog sucks, because he has no character and nothing better to do than Azog's prize. Than getting Azog's prize, let me say. Thorin and the dwarves with Bilbo go to the woods, and Gandalf goes on his own adventure to stop the necromancer, and he notices Bilbo is acting rather different after grabbing the ring from the Goblin Tower. Bilbo feels strange because of the ring, while going through the woods, and finds a way to go up in the trees, and the dwarves get captured by the spiders, and Bilbo kills one and calls it Sting, and it's checking boxes of what will come in The Lord of the Rings. And for a prequel, it's not that great of an idea, and I wish prequels didn't do things like that. It's annoying as hell. The elves with Legolas, returned by Orlando Bloom, who I felt was forced into this movie, and Tauriel, played by Evangeline Lilly, who wasn't in the books, from what I heard. She's a made-up character. Comes in and kills the spiders and capture the dwarves and take them to their king, Thranduil, played by Lee Pace, who was Ronan in these two Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And when the elves come in, the CGI looks really bad. Then Bilbo is unseen by the elves, and how stupid are these elves? And Legolas looks kind of bad, to be honest. Thranduil offers to help Thorin as long as he gets what is his, and Thorin says no, and then Bilbo lets them out and puts them in barrels, and we lead to a super shoddy action scene when the dwarves and Bilbo escape the elves, and Bolg and the orcs attack the dwarves, and these CGI sequences look very bad. Keeley and Tauriel have kind of a love story that looks and sounds absolutely horrible, and these scenes are absolutely freaking laughable, to the point I laughed out loud inappropriately. Gandalf and Radagast's sequence was absolutely worthless, to the point it didn't matter. The dwarves get out of the water and meet Bard the Bowman, played by Luke Evans, who's an actor I see time and again. I don't mind him as an actor, but the problem with this character is he is the most underappreciated, and he's just pointless as a character. But he will do something that's good later on, and that's not in this movie. But it should have been. That would have been a better ending than what we got, but I'll talk about it later. We get to Lake Town where Bard lives, and we meet Alfred, the village asshole. Jerk, excuse my French, who thinks everything is in his business, and the mayor's assistant, and the mayor is the biggest jerk ever. And somewhere in Lake Town, we do see Stephen Colbert, who's a very big Tolkien fan, but I didn't see him anywhere in this small town, and I liked the look of that scene, but he dragged quite a bit. The mayor lets Thorin, Bilbo, and the rest of the dwarves go to the mountain and leaves Fili and Kili and a couple of dwarves behind and fight Smaug in the mountain as Thorin promises some gold to the lake town by paying them for the courtesy. And that's not a great way to get respect from, particularly since he promises them the gold. What if they don't succeed? Terrible idea from the script, in my opinion. Even though it was a book, sure. They find a light to open the door of Erebor, and Bilbo goes inside to find the Arkenstone until he awakens Smaug, who is voiced by, hey, what do you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, as well as chats with him. Meanwhile, Kili is wounded by the arrow Bolg shoots at his leg earlier in the film, and one of the dwarves finds medicine for him, and Bolg and the orcs come in and fights Legolas and Tauriel. And I liked the fight between Legolas and Bolg. It was the only fight in this movie I actually liked. I also liked how Smaug's voice, how he chats with Bilbo. Gandalf briefly fights Azog and encounters Sauron. Again, they're checking boxes, and that's annoying. Then Bolg loses to Legolas, and the dwarves fighting Smaug for their home. But at first, he loses and is covered in gold. But he gets up and goes to Lake Town to burn them alive. And then says, "I am fire, I am death." And the movie ends there. Which, what a terrible ending, because it's so freaking random timing, and I hate that as an ending. I hate random endings in general. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.3 out of 10. This movie slows down quite a bit, and the shots are super shoddy, and the CGI looks absolutely awful. The ending is super random, as it's a terrible ending, but what I do like is Cumberbatch's Smaug and the fight between Legolas and Bolg. I thought that was fun, and the character development is just poor. So, I will be back next week with The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, and then the next week after that I'll get to Tolkien. And until next time, we shall end the series with the dragon exploding in Lake Town.